story of the Superior Spider-Man now is considered one of the best Spider-Man arcs. But what was the Superior Spider-Man? And was it good? Well, let's find out. The main premise of the Superior Spider-Man was for Spider-Man writer Dan Slott to put Otto Octavius, Spider-Man's longtime enemy, in the role as Spider-Man. At first, a lot of fans would hate this story as Peter Parker would die in Doc Ock's body. You see, Doc Ock had developed cancer from all the battles he had with Spider-Man, and he was dying. So, in Amazing Spider-Man issue 697, Otto switched bodies with Peter, and it makes sense. Spider-Man is the perfect physical specimen, so Otto wanted a body that he could use. And Peter Parker would die, and Otto would continue his legacy to become the Superior Spider-Man. Fans didn't like this, and they actually gave Dan Slott death threats for killing off a character we had known for 1,000 years. But as the story went on, it was praised for being a new and refreshing take on the character. What made Superior Spider-Man such a great story is that it highlighted Peter's one character flaw. He would never ask for help, and his life always went bad. Otto could solve that problem as Spider-Man by just focusing on what Peter wants, and since he is much smarter than him, Otto was able to get it. He would create his own company, Parker Industries, to solve the problem of Peter barely having any money. He would also alert the police before the bad guys arrive so they can stop them before there's any casualties. It bothered me a lot that Spider-Man never thought to ask for help, and Otto was just a way more efficient Spider-Man. Superior Spider-Man was also praised because it shows us how well Peter's life could be, how it will bother us that someone with his intelligence and field isn't a scientist. Why doesn't Peter have as much money as he does? Otto would fix all these problems by being more realistic. An issue that always bothers me and other readers of Spider-Man is that everything's always the same. Peter has money troubles. He can't get a job. He's just being normal, and all he has is Spider-Man. We've seen it 1,000,000 times. So it was refreshing when Otto solved this by having Spider-Bots patrol the city so he didn't have to worry about all the small-time stuff, and he could focus on the big crime bosses. Otto also fixed Peter's relationship with Mary Jane. Fans would always be upset why they're not together, and Otto fixed this. He sees in Peter's memories that Mary Jane was always the girl for him, so Otto starts dating her. And he actually realizes they can't be together and then dumps her. Otto would also brutalize criminals as Spider-Man and do a lot of things that Peter never had the guts to do. And there were several criminals that were murderers, and Otto actually killed one of them outright. An initial complaint about this was that people like Mary Jane or the Avengers never noticed it wasn't Spider-Man. And I agree, but I feel like the story needed them to not notice to move it forward. Initially, Otto also sent to just do what Peter was doing, but better, and he eventually set out to make his own life. This was clear when he noticed that Peter had never gotten a doctorate, so Otto did one and actually got himself a PhD. Otto also would have his own insecurities, and he and Peter actually weren't that different. When he finds out the Vulture is using child soldiers, Otto is furious and nearly kills the Vulture because he was traumatized as a child. Otto starts to make up his own decisions after purging Peter's memories. We find out that Peter actually didn't die in Otto's body, and he lived on as a ghost. Him and Peter will fight, and Otto actually makes some good points. That Peter doesn't really focus on helping people. He only focuses on being appreciated. Otto doesn't care how the people see him. He just wants to make a difference in the world. After purging Peter, Otto is finally free from someone telling him what to do and can finally carve his own destiny. He doesn't have to focus on what Peter would do. He just does what he wants to do. Otto starts to make a lot of progress. He blackmails J. Jonah Jameson, who is the mayor at this time, to give him control of the raft and make it into his own fortress as a base of operations. And Spider-Man has a bunch of henchmen that help him, and he's able to use them in order to serve his own needs. He even takes down the Kingpin, embarrasses the Hobgoblin, and does a lot of things that Peter could never do. However, the Green Goblin returns and discovers the flaw in the spider bots that he can hack. Now, anyone wearing a Goblin logo or mask can't be seen by the spider bots, which allows the Goblin to continue his plans. Also, a problem that Otto had that Peter didn't, which is rare, is that Peter would take down every member of the gang. He would not rest until all of them are found. Otto is more realistic. He feels like he'll only take down the leaders, but this gives the Green Goblin an opportunity to recruit every henchman for his plans. Goblin eventually owns 90% of organized crime after Spider-Man takes down the Kingpin. So the Goblin now is hiding within the shadows but doesn't want to make himself known yet. Spider-Man will focus his attention on the Hobgoblin, who's at large again, which is good for the Green Goblin, as he starts dressing up as the Hobgoblin, so Spider-Man will be chasing the wrong one. Goblin will also capture Carly Cooper, who's a detective and Peter's long-term friend. She put it together that Otto can't be Peter, and the Goblin brainwashes her and learns this as well. The final arc happens in Goblin Nation, where the Green Goblin has taken over the city because of his attention, and he confronts Otto, telling him that it's him and offers him a partnership. You see, the Green Goblin was annoyed because he never got to beat Spider-Man. Otto did. And it is here we realize Otto's weakness. He doesn't have the willpower that Peter and the Goblin had, because their lessons, great responsibility, and the Goblin didn't learn that, but he did have will. The madness of the Green Goblin gave him the will to succeed. They're both denied by their personalities, and that's why Otto can't beat the Goblin. So Otto does something different. He asks Peter for help, and Peter gets control of his body again and uses all his years of experience to defeat the Goblin.